Hi guys, Amy here with Amy's Wares, and today's video is about making some lunchbox notes. So to start, I'm just going to show you some previously stamped and Copic colored lawn fawn stamps. If you want to check out the video with my Copic coloring for the lazy crafter like me, I'll put a tag up in the top right corner if you want to click on that and watch that first. But I did fussy cut all of those out, and I just had them set aside ready for when I was able to turn them into a project. And here I'm showing you these Gina Marie nested die sets. This is what I used some of the smaller ones to make a perfect lunchbox size note just to put the little critters on. And here I'm showing you stencils from a Colorful Life Designs, and that's what I'm going to use to put the backgrounds on the little lunchbox notes. So here I have a set of mini Catherine Pooler inks, and I'm just kind of placing the critters on the card to figure out placement. So I factor that in for the ink blending, and then also ultimately where I'm going to stamp the sentiment onto the little card. So I realized some of the little holes didn't poke out, so I'm using my little pokey tool to finish that job. And then I just kind of figure out placement and what color I'm going to use. And then I'll get out my Wendy Vecchi station tool. It's very helpful for stencil crafting, so it kind of holds everything down with magnets. So it's definitely a very handy tool if you work with stencils a lot like I do. It saves you on some washi tape or low tack tape because it really kind of holds everything in place while you work. So I selected the, I believe, party dress color, and I didn't want it to be too saturated, so I have that little piece of scrap paper off to the left where I just kind of dab the excess ink onto that so that it didn't get too dark. And as you can see, I kind of focused the ink more in one area and then just went with a lighter hand to get kind of a lighter blend as it goes out towards the top of the little card, because I knew that's where I was going to put the sentiment. So a lot of times it's just a trick of knowing where you want the most concentrated color to be and going with the heaviest hand there, and then kind of lightening up and going to a softer hand. And then it'll give you that nice blend back to white if you don't want to, cover the entire space with a stencil, which usually is kind of my style. I prefer a lot of white space. So this stencil is actually called Falling Sticks. This is from a Colorful Life Designs. I am on the design team for them, and I have a coupon, so if you want to shop for any of their awesome stencils, then be sure to plug in my coupon, AmyFan10. I'll have it in the video details because that'll get you 10% off your complete order. So again, I'm kind of doing the same thing, just using the color Aquatini from Catherine Pooler. And I realized there was too much white, so I kind of used some of the excess ink on the brush to kind of go over the stenciled area just to kind of tone it down a little bit. And then I'm going to put that adorable little hamster and its wheel onto it. This is the Whimsy Love stencil, and I decided to use that one with these cute little hedgehogs. And just making sure that I have room for the sentiment. Just kind of factoring in the layout and everything before I start the ink blending. I got more little holes to poke out, so I just do that real quick. And then for this color, I used my favorite. It's like an electric purple. Can't think of it. Oh, Flirty Fuchsia. That's the name of it. This is probably one of my favorite Catherine Pooler colors, but it's very vivid and very intense. So I kind of did a light hand all the way around on this one just to make sure I didn't overdo it with the color because I didn't want to take away from those cute little hedgies. And again, I just let it kind of fade to white on the top of the card just so that it wouldn't take away from the sentiment when I stamped it down on there. Okay, and then cleaning it off, I'm just showing you I got a little chamois, stamp chamois there, and I store it in my Make It by Marco stamp chamois case to keep it from getting moldy and nasty. This is the Waves stencil, and I just wanted to do kind of a watery looking background for this little axolotl. This is my favorite, my daughter's favorite as well. And at this point I realized there wasn't quite enough residual pixie spray on this, and this is a delicate stencil, so I did go back and grab my pixie spray and sprayed that on the back of the stencil and let it sit for a minute, and that gives it a nice temporary adhesive to kind of hold down those little delicate bits so it doesn't move around on you when you ink blend. This color from Catherine Pooler is Something Borrowed. So again, a very intense, vibrant color, but just kind of go with a lighter hand and then it won't be too much. Just kind of put the stencil in such a way where it would show some of the waves, but not, overtake the background. And just figure out the layout there. And this one, just clean it off a little more gently. Don't go too crazy because it is a very delicate stencil, but it sure is pretty when it's ink blended. Now this stencil, this is a 6x9 and this is called Swag Dots. So I thought the roundness of the cookie and the oval shape of the die cut would lend itself well to this design, so kind of went cockeyed on purpose here, and because the cookie is a neutral brown color, I wasn't really sure what color I wanted to use, but I knew I wanted the background to really pop. So I decided to go with more of a rainbow look for this one. So I grabbed the Catherine Pooler inks and decided to go with Tutti Frutti, Tiara, and Something Borrowed, knowing that those three basically primary colors, when they overlapped, would create colors in the middle and create somewhat of a rainbow. Of course missing the purple, but you get the idea. And then I just work through those colors, and as they overlap, they do create that middle color. And this created a nice, fun, colorful background for this little cookie, just because there wasn't a whole lot of color to the cookie. So this one was a fun one to blend. And again, the white was a little too stark, so I just used the residual on the blending brushes just to kind of lay down that color over the white, just to kind of tone it down a notch. And these lunchbox notes are so cute. You could use them, for your husband or your kid, just to let them know you're thinking of them when they're away from you during the day. My daughter did spend all of 5th grade virtually at home, but she is going back in person for 6th grade, so it'll be nice to have these little notes ready to go to pop into her lunchbox and let her know I'm thinking of her during the day. It's going to be quite an adjustment having her go back, but we're all excited about it. So here I'm just kind of placing these little sentiment stamps here down at an angle. I didn't want to try and make them straight just because I made the background deliberately not straight. So I'm conditioning the stamp with my finger because I haven't used the sentiment portions before. And then I just use some VersaFine black ink because that's nice and dark. It's really good for small detailed stamps. And then I have some liquid glue here just to glue it down. I opted not to go for dimension like I normally would, just because, it's going to go in her lunchbox and I didn't want it to get caught on anything. I wanted to keep it simple. As you can see, I'm using my Misty stamping tool and the magnet that it comes with to kind of hold the little card in place while I stamp on the sentiments. And these stamping tools are definitely a must, because if you don't get a perfect impression the first time, then it's no issue. You just kind of pull the cover up very slowly in case the stamp sticks to the paper and you don't want it to shift. But lift it up slowly, and then you can restamp it as many times as you need to get that perfect impression. So again, I'm going to just glue down the little seaweed and the axolotl. And that finishes that one. Just putting away my stamps so I don't lose them somewhere on my craft desk. I'm sure that's happened to you guys. And then now the little hedgies, they're so cute. But that lighter inked top space really worked out well. It was like the perfect length for that sentiment. So sending hedgehogs, how cute is that? So again, just using that VersaFine to get that crisp black ink down. The sentiment is nice and clear. And then again, use the liquid ink, just liquid glue rather, just to glue down the little hedgehogs, and then that finishes that one. So it's a pretty simple process. If you watch my Copic coloring, you'll see my Copic coloring is pretty simple. I tend to try and move quickly, not spend too much time on any one project. So I like things that I can batch and do quickly. As you've probably seen, a lot of my videos are batching related. I make multiple projects at once and really build up my stash, and it works well for, you know, donating cards, or if you're in some sort of card drive or things like that. You can still create beautiful things, but keeping it simple enough that it doesn't take too much time and you can really batch the process. So this is actually the Buffalo Plaid stencil. I forgot to mention that one earlier. This is one of my favorites from the collection. These are all older stencils from Colorful Life Designs. There are hundreds to choose from. If you aren't familiar, Colorful Life Designs is a small woman-owned business in Texas, and she has loads of stencils to choose from. So be sure to check out her shop if you haven't before. I'm sure you'll find plenty that you love. So again, I'm stamping the "Love You Tons" little sentiment down and gluing the little elephants, and that finishes that one. So here I'm just going to show you the finished little lunchbox cards. Let me know which one is your favorite in the comments. I'm always curious. We all love the axolotl. My daughter is pretty obsessed with sea creatures, so that one is definitely her favorite. And my husband too, actually. So little cutie hedgehogs. I love the color of that flirty fuchsia in the background. And the "I really like you." This might be my favorite little pun though. That's just hilarious to me. And "Love you tons." So that's it. Here's a quick and simple way to use your stamped and colored critters and turn them into lunchbox notes for your kiddos or your loved ones. So I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. If you hit the bell, it will remind you, or notify you rather, when I when I publish a new video. So I hope you enjoyed it and have a great day. Thanks. Bye.